Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Kentucky. I'm John Neighbors alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis. Appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your late afternoon. This afternoon, as you know, if you've been watching our show, watching our content, hanging out, you'll know that we were making the trip to Lexington, and fellas, we survived and advanced. We got here in one piece. We got here on time. We are officially, at least not, we're not a KS bar yet. So this is not KS bar for those of you who probably like looking at it like, geez, what in the world? So we're doing a little special here on a Remember Wednesday presented by Fayetteville Fly Co. So appreciate everybody be patient with us. But guys, it's good to be here in Lexington. How great is this?
It is good to be here in Lexington. You handled the flight better than I thought you would. There were a couple moments where I was a little bit worried about it. It was bumpy from XNA to Chicago. I was a little bit uncomfortable on that one, but no, man, you did good. And we got to decide, I think, what are we going to call this? Are we outside Arkansas? Are we inside Lexington? Like what
I think outside Arkansas is pretty good.
We can't go inside Lexington or inside Kentucky. That would be leaning in a little bit too much to our newfound fan base. So I'm good with outside Arkansas for now.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go.
Yeah. Outside Arkansas has a better ring to it. So yeah, we're outside Arkansas, and it's always fun to be in new places. You know, we've done I wouldn't say a couple of road trips, but in some form or fashion. We haven't done one as a full group of three since Birmingham, going for the SEC basketball media days. We went to Stillwater, all three of us together. Which,
we really know how to pick them.
Yeah, I know. Like we picked the best ones, but this one was an obvious one, and for obvious reasons. So we're going to talk about a lot of things to get into today. Obviously, we've been traveling all day, so if you say weird stuff, just know it's because we're delirious, and it's not because we're drunk yet. But we'll have some fun. We'll get to your chats. Phone lines are not open, so we'll just save that till tomorrow. But we'll be live at KS Bar at 1 p.m. local time here. Noon, back to normal. We'll have Pot at the Palace. We'll have Bombastic. We're going to have all the same content, just in different locations. So appreciate you guys always hanging out and being a part of it. So just we'll get into some of the things, but guys, getting into Lexington, I know, Curtis, you walked around, did a little bit of Pot at the Palace. We got to drive in and a very nice Uber driver named Mike. Appreciate him. What's your first impression of Lexington?
It's, I just gave part of my first impression because you're right. I walked around. We're pretty close to Rupp Arena, and so I kind of walked over there. I was putting my selfie stick game to the test and recording the Pod at the Palace that goes out tomorrow. And I get a lot of Fayetteville vibes. I do.
Yeah.
Like there are a lot of things that remind me, but right here where we're at downtown, it's a little more cityish than I thought it would be. Like bigger, like taller buildings than maybe I expected it to be. It definitely gives off more of a city vibe than a college town right now. And I've seen like 4 blocks of this place. But no, it's pretty cool. And the people have been very nice. And so far to a T, everybody that we've talked to and kind of asked about this. So Coach Cal, how do you feel? I think they've got the right approach, which is, you know what? Love that guy. Loved what he did. Going to be happy to see him and hope we beat your brains in. Yeah. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fair. And I thought our Uber driver, Mike, he had the right mindset.
Yes,
He's like,
he did.
Man, love Cal.
Handled it.
Kind of missed the guy, but, I like Mark Pope, like what we got going on, which, makes sense. Outside of the University of Kentucky being here and bourbon and horses, I didn't know much about Lexington. Like, I didn't do any research. I didn't, go in with expectations, good or bad. Like, just don't know much about it. You hear a lot about college towns in the SEC, and I feel like every fan base kind of is like, "Oh, ours is the best college town," except for Mississippi State. They know theirs sucks.
They know.
They know. But I really don't I've never heard Lexington negatively talked about or really positively. Like it's just not one that comes up in those conversations a ton. But I agree with your assessment, Curtis. Like it was a little bit more city-y. And on the way in, Mike was like, it's it reminds people of Austin. And I was like, what? I was like, I've never heard that before. Like never heard that. I kind of get what he's saying here a little bit. I don't know if I would go that far as it's not that city-y, but a lot of live music. We're excited to check out the scenes.
I've only been to Austin once, so I don't know that I can make it even a good comp there, but yeah.
Yeah. Hey, listen, we're excited about exploring because we none of us have been to Lexington before, and I will say the trip itself, knock on wood, we got pretty lucky. I mean, we got to the airport on a reasonable time. The every flight we were on was early as far as arriving. Our gate, I've still never seen that happen before, where our connecting flight in Chicago, we walk out of our gate of our arrival, and then we walk about 20 feet, and then there's our next gate. Yeah. Like we had that. The Uber drivers, the weather's really nice here. I mean, we've had a pretty good start to the trip, and so hopefully it continues to go well. I'm sure it will. But we're going to have plenty of content and plenty of fun. And of course, if you're somebody who's been to Lexington, like give us some suggestions on what we should do. We've been asking everybody about it, but if you have anything, let us know.
And listen, I mean, give us some good ones.
Please.
And most people have. Most people have been awesome. But obviously, like we have Google, and we've been directed to some places we don't want to go.
Yes.
Okay. I appreciate the troll jobs though. It's pretty funny, man. And honestly, the tone was set a little after 5 o'clock this morning when it's pitch black outside, and Andrew Ellis pulls up in my driveway wearing sunglasses.
That was wild.
Okay.
That was wild.
Listen, in hindsight, like I see how it looked from y'all's point of view, and I was so tired. I don't even know if I was intentionally like trolling or like trying to be funny. But I really was. It was just one of those. I was like trying to consolidate, trying to like just put everything in my pockets. And I was like, I'll throw on the shades because I want to bring them on the trip, and I don't want to, don't want to throw them, my pocket or anything. So I was like, I'll just throw them on my head.
Yeah, it's like 5 a.m. and it is still very much dark out, and Ellis is rolling up. I'm like, if he drives like that at night, I'm so glad he didn't get pulled over or anything. It was quite the start. But
there was a point where I was strongly considering just not going to sleep last night and just kind of playing Star Wars Outlaws until 4 a.m. But I decided to go to sleep at around midnight, and so I got a few hours of sleep in there.
Yeah. Well, again, we're gonna get our rest up. We're gonna have stuff all week, and then leading up into the game. The game's at 9 p.m. Eastern time, local time here on Saturday, 8 p.m. Central time, and so we'll have some cool things. Maybe we'll see Cal around Lexington. I wonder when he got here. He already is here, 100%, right? Like he's already here.
Mentally, he never left.
Yeah.
Wow,
man.
According to him on his, critically acclaimed radio show out at Sassy's, he was they were going to have hard practices today. Well, I guess it would have been yesterday, Tuesday and Wednesday, where they were going to be doing full scrimmaging, but he was going to not be on the floor. He was going to go up top and watch because he wants the guys to be empowered to make plays. So he might not be coming until tomorrow.
Curtis, I don't know if you know this. I don't know if anybody knows this. The Razorback basketball team, they weren't really able to scrimmage a ton leading up to the season.
I feel like I heard something about that.
They didn't have a full roster, so one could argue this is just when this team is peaking into shape.
Yeah, because
one could hope.
Yeah, just hopefully they have a shoot around at some point in time Saturday when they have about like 18 hours before the game starts from when they wake up, because that's how it's going to be. Hopefully they have the shoot around. Yeah. That's important. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And then also, I know there are going to be some topics that we dive into, but you mentioned about Cal and his comments there at Sassy's. And then Mark Pope is also, they had a big win last night against Tennessee. Kentucky
that was impressive, man.
I think that we all would have predicted Tennessee would have won that game. It's in Knoxville. But give credit where credit is due. Kentucky got it done. Tennessee shot just 45 three-pointers, so that's a very winning, succeeding type of recipe. But we thought maybe Kentucky come in a little hobbled, 0-3, or at least a 3-game losing streak. Nope. Followed it up with a huge monster win against Tennessee on the road in Knoxville.
Weird team, Kentucky, where it seems like, at least in SEC play, they've struggled a little bit with the middle and lower of the pack teams, and then they show up against the good ones, man. What do they have now? Like 4 top 10 wins or 6 top 15 or something crazy. That was really impressive, man. I mean, they went there without an active point guard on their roster, and I know Andrew Carr wound up being available. He played like 1 minute, got drove on, and then we didn't see him again, so maybe he was still hurt. But for them to go into Tennessee and do that, man, that was really impressive, and it worries me because I see Tennessee is better than Arkansas, but I see similarities to where Arkansas, pretty good defensively. Tennessee, obviously elite defensively. Tennessee, very offensively challenged and can't shoot. Arkansas, very offensively challenged and can't shoot. And Mark Pope said after the game, he was like, why'd they shoot 45 threes? Like, we wanted them to shoot threes all day as long as the guys that we wanted to be shooting them. I can just see it right now. With that lane is going to be clogged up, buddy, on Saturday. So are they going to make some shots? Who knows? It's been the story of the season.
I was going to say, you see a very clear game plan in place where it's like if you're letting Tennessee shoot threes, which they're not like they're they've been shooting the lights out, but they got a guy like Lanier that can really kill you. Zakai Ziegler's obviously a veteran that can knock him down. Ziegler missed at least 107 down the stretch.
He was chucking it, man.
It was crazy, but I do think if you're trying to make a case for Arkansas, it is going to have to start and finish with guys who do not normally make threes and have been bad, inefficient shooters for Arkansas all year long and mostly in SEC play are going to have to overnight stop being that. Like DJ Wagner is going to have to knock down 4 threes. John L. Davis is obviously going to have to get going. Like, that's kind of the thing we've been saying all year. You might have to get like an Adu Thero 3. Like, you're just going to have to get weird stuff.
Well,
Trevin Brazil's going to have to knock down a couple. Like, because I think that's if Kentucky's going to, there's a lot of guys on this Arkansas team where they would fit that criteria of let them have it. When you're at pickup, that's the most demoralizing thing here is let them have it. I think Arkansas is going to be able to have it a lot, and I that's kind of been the story of SEC play. We've been saying if Arkansas could just make some of the wide open shots that they miss, they'd be in decent shape. And so
it's that simple.
Yeah, I mean,
I will point out that the last time Arkansas and Kentucky played in Rupp Arena, DJ Wagner went 4 or 5 from 3. So
there you go.
I'm just saying.
By the way, and that would be the ultimate, like, it just as a fan of a team, anytime you have your former player or someone that your team no longer, like, maybe had a chance to get, whether it's a high school kid you passed on or a kid that transferred out, you just always know, like, he's going to play the game of his life. And there's a lot of Kentucky fans who obviously DJ Wagner's like their least favorite human being of all time. And so, or he just kind of represents something that they don't like. I don't think they actually dislike the kid, but it would be kind of funny if he was the one that just went for 27 tomorrow night or Saturday night.
So, I mean, obviously, if Arkansas won this game, which it's going to be hard to really, seriously predict that, but if Arkansas was to win this game, I guess one of the most fun ways that they would do it is if the guys who were formerly at Kentucky came out, like Big Z, DJ, Thero, have great games themselves. I feel like that would be a really great thing. And then on top of that, like the icing on the cake, Arkansas wins on a game winner because Cal drew up a play for that game winner, and they executed it. I think if those things come together,
bag work,
man, I think that would. I mean, you'll take the win no matter what, but that would be, I think, like one of the most fun ways for those Kentucky guys to come right back into Rupp for one final time, perform well. I mean, it'd be great.
It would be awesome, and I don't want to give away too much of my ammo because that was a good part of what I just talked about when I was recording the Pod at the Palace. But all 3 of those guys, in their own unique ways, are just so critical to Arkansas's chances. Like, Thero's your best player, so he has to play like it. He got 4 shots up against Oklahoma. That can't happen. It's got to be more than that. And there are ways that he needs to be able to get his shots, right? It's offensive rebounds. It's getting out in transition. He's not just like put the ball in his hand and create kind of guy. DJ knocking down shots, because I'm sure he's going to be one of those guys on Pope's scouting report that's like, let him shoot. Go ahead. And so they're going to be going under ball screens or whatever. He's got to make them pay. And then one thing, like, Kentucky's not great on defense, man, and especially guarding the pick and roll. Have you heard that before? Big Z. I mean, he's a unique threat in there. So how are they going to be able to defend that? I mean, we'll see.
There's not a ton of mystery with this Arkansas team, especially when it comes to who's going to have to step up, who's going to have to be the guys, because we know who the guys are. And so, John, when you were saying it would be kind of a fun way, that's the only possible way it could play out. If Arkansas is going to have success, it's going to kind of come through those guys. And I feel like Big Z, I mean, if you're talking about Arkansas offensively, if they're able to ever break out, it's going to have to really go through him. I feel like Arkansas clearly a better offensive team on the floor with him out there. Will he be able to hold up defensively to stay on the floor long enough? Will he knock down some of those shots he gets? Because I think a lot of times we've seen that where once Arkansas finally starts making shots, things open up. All of a sudden, driving lanes. All of a sudden, Adu Thero's harder to deal with. But it's a lot easier said than done, especially when you're coming into an environment that's going to be chaos.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's been discussed before, so I don't want to become one of our chatters as I hope no one's talking about this. But mentioning the 3 players and their return back to Rupp Arena, it's almost like it's about the Cal return, but I'm wondering how those players are going to handle it. Like how those 3, where they were beloved, they were cheered for, they were rooted, because that's the thing is, like, not like Kentucky was bad last season. They've had good home games, they had a great regular season when they were in Rupp, and now it's going to be on the other side. Not to say that they'll get booed by everybody, but I just feel like I'm using my own personal perspective. That would just be such a weird thing for me to go in this building that I was there every day practicing, all of that. Now to come into the same building and I'm wearing a different jersey. I have the fans that are all in blue are rooting against me. They want me to fail. They want me to lose. But the only thing that's the same is the coach and Coach Cal. I just feel like that's, I don't know. Maybe they won't even care about it. But I just feel like for me personally, that would be such a weird thing to handle.
Of course it's going to be weird, and they're going to see, like home. What was home for them? Like, all those guys lived on campus or an apartment or whatever around here. They're going to see people that they know. Like, they're going to be out there warming up, and some of the same people that are sitting in Kentucky's Gucci Row, whatever they call it, their Gucci Row. Like, it's going to be the same faces, and it's going to be surreal for them. Thero told Andrew when we were at SEC Media Day, like, hey, when we go play Kentucky, I will have played the most games of anybody at Rupp Arena. That's still true. It's like he's going to have the most experience in that building. He's beloved. He might get the biggest ovation of the night, honestly. I mean, he's just that kind of guy. But, like, DJ was polarizing there, and it wasn't necessarily his fault so much as maybe how Cal used him, favored him over the other guys in the starting lineup. We don't have to get into the whole story. And it's just different for all of them. Then Big Z, like, that whole eligibility thing, that's how he kind of became endeared with Big Blue Nation, with that whole fight with the NCAA and them getting that billboard and him eventually getting cleared and then leaving. I get the sense that most Kentucky fans understand, like, okay, yes, they wore Kentucky across the chest, everything like that, and they were happy to be there, and they also came for Cal. So, like, when those guys leave with Cal, it's like, man, like, he's kind of poaching our guys or whatever. I don't think they take it personally with the players. I think they get it for the most part.
I think so, too. And I think with the three guys, you kind of have three completely different
Very much
stratospheres
so,
where
yeah.
Adu Thero's obviously beloved. Like, we talk about him all the time, like how much he's definitely going to get a pop tomorrow. Or I keep saying tomorrow. It's very much not tomorrow. It's Saturday. We got a lot of time to kill
We're here for a minute,
this
man.
game.
Yeah,
and we got a lot of time to kill even when it gets to Saturday because the game's in the middle of the GD night. But yeah, with Adu Thero, he's obviously going to get a ton of positive reception. I think Big Z, that's a good point that you brought up. I remember I didn't know who the hell he was, and I remember watching, I guess it was when they played Bama or somebody, and there was like all these cutouts of him in the student section. I was like, who is this? Because we thought he looked like Dracula Flo. That's why we were talking about him.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, man. But, yeah, they really got behind that guy. And so I think there's probably I saw someone in the chat who was like, actually, we hate Big Z more than we hate DJ Wagner because we were his guy.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the general sentiment, but I think he's a little bit more not as loved as Thero, but not as hated as Wagner. And so it's like he's kind of the middle ground. And then DJ, I think I don't think you could get any Kentucky fan to say one positive word about DJ Wagner.
No.
It's so interesting, man. And Cal said, I mean, obviously, on his radio show, he was like, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get booed. I don't think it's going to be as bad as he thinks it is.
Can we pull up the quote real quick?
We can. It'll be like a smattering. And then he said that he thinks that, maybe those three guys will get booed as well. I really don't think they will. Maybe I'm giving Kentucky fans too much credit since we're here. I don't know, man, but I don't think they're going to boo those guys.
People forget they're just children at the end of the day. They are just children. But for the quote I was referencing, which he said, I guess it was at Sassy's the other night that he said it. Coach Chow says, "You get booed. I've done this so long. I tell you, I got bazooka holes in my body. So when you shoot arrows, it doesn't even hit skin. It just goes through one of those bazooka holes."
That's a bar.
Wow.
That is a bar. And I will be honest with you, Cal does a lot of like kind of like slight flexing on people every now and then. He doesn't like that's
dude.
That's good. That's like vintage Cal stuff right there.
Good.
And it's obviously true where it's like we literally had a show this week titled why is he that polarizing?
Mm-hmm.
How he's such a weird figure. He's used to this.
Mm-hmm.
Not that this environment, I'm sure it's going to be special and it's going to be unique, but like he's been in a lot of those environments. Hell, one of our favorite moments with Coach Calipari was when he was coaching Kentucky in Bud Walton Arena. That's just kind of what he entails. And so I think he's going to fit right in. I wonder if the players are going to feel as comfortable in that type of environment. Because, again, like they're going to get a more positive reception, but it's also just a big – Arkansas, frankly, we've been talking about the atmosphere a lot. Arkansas just hasn't been in moments like that, atmospheres like that. And when they have, Tennessee didn't go well. Madison Square Garden, that went well. That was a good moment for them. But that's a completely different ball game than what they're about to walk into Saturday night.
Yeah.
I wonder if I know John Calipari. It's different because it's Coach Cal too, but if those guys can talk to Jonas Adu and be like, man, like you went back to Tennessee, like what was that like? Just from the because they booed his ass.
Yeah,
I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, and he was terrible that game. And it's like, hey, what would you have done differently or whatever? And so like they've dealt with that. Even John L. Davis, like it wasn't his old team, but he faced his old coach.
Yeah,
he's faced multiple of his old teammates, and it's like, how do you prepare for that mentally? That's going to be a big part of this for sure.
Well, we got to shut up for a second because our guy Logan, like, come on, man, like, what are we doing here, Logan? Why you got to be like this to us? Thank
Stud,
you,
man.
dude. Super
Stud.
chat of 250 here saying dinner is on me tonight. Go hit up the steakhouse. Enjoy the trip, fellas. Go Hogs. Logan, man, you're the dude.
No,
You're
that's,
that guy. You're hired.
Yeah.
You know, like we'll just make you an unofficial employee of Inside
His
Arkansas.
face is gonna go right here.
Yep.
Just,
Yeah.
Yep. We're just gonna start having to make segments for him, or like play it. Like someone's gonna have to sing, depending on how much he gives. You know, I don't know. Like we got to start having some really good shouts. But seriously though, Logan, that's so awesome of you. We appreciate your support. You've been very kind and very helpful for us and everybody. But you know, Logan, I mean, come on here. Like,
Yeah,
this
no,
is
thank you,
what
man.
Logan.
And we're pretty close to Jeff Ruby's here, and I shot Chin Coleman a text to see if he could get us a table. You know, just if he could get us the hookup. I've been told a million times in this chat that that's just his place. So
Okay.
Yeah.
maybe
Well,
maybe he'll take care of us.
I was
don't
thinking
know.
earlier, we were talking about like recommendations from Kentucky fans and just people we see, like the people on our plane or whatever. We haven't gotten a ton of like repeats of like everyone saying that's the one exception. Everyone said that. I mean, literally. I mean, we're right by it. It's just kind of a thing. Malone's now I'm seeing in the chat. That's one I've seen start to pop up a few times, but a lot of times we've gotten a lot of options, which I didn't necessarily expect.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
and the guy getting off the plane today was the one guy was like, go to Buffalo Trace and drink a bunch of bourbon, which
Yeah.
I've heard worse ideas. But
Done.
with Carson's,
Yeah, Carson.
Yes.
he was like, that's exactly where you need to go. He's pretty adamant about it, but that's the first time I heard that one.
Well, also, I sat next to that guy the entire flight. We didn't speak one time, and then he kind of overheard our conversation on the way out. Just kind of drive by. Was like, go to Carson's. He just walked out. We're like, all right.
Yeah. I wonder if it's because everyone's like, these guys, they're from Arkansas. Like they had to
Yeah,
know
we
that
had
we
that-
were not there. So
We had that
yeah.
Arkansas stench on
yeah,
us a little bit.
some about us had just rubbed them the wrong way, but still. But yes, very much appreciative to you, Logan, and we will make sure that does not get spent in vain. We're gonna make it happen for you.
It's a good
but
man, gentleman, and a scholar.
Yes.
We will use that. We will use that. It'll go for a good cause tonight.
Yes.
I promise you.
Yes, the best of causes. Yeah, because even Floyd says, live from Lexington, brought to you by Logan. Yeah, well, hey, listen, at least the
mean,
dinner is.
We've always joked about like him like giving him a segment like him really sponsoring. We're getting really close to that point where it's like this might have to just be Inside Arkansas Live presented by Logan.
Yeah, just make him the studio sponsor from Inside, whatever it is. But yeah, we really appreciate it again, Logan. Thank you so much. A few of your chats, folks, because we have some other segments that we'll dive into as well. And speaking of Logan, he said, "John, did you have to hold Curtis's or Andrew's hand?" No, actually, I didn't. I had an armrest that I was giving a death grip on like crazy. So
I thought, man, I got to be honest with you. I thought you were fine. Like I sat beside.
I did a lot better this time, and I don't know if it's because I'm traveling with people or maybe it's because I was just really in the moment. But
you were playing that game. You were pretty dialed in.
Dude.
And the only thing we might be getting ready to say the same thing. I don't know, but right before takeoff and right before landing, that leg was shaking. Like the leg was moving. I do that when I get a little uncomfortable. I start fidgeting like that. But I
can't
handled it
remember
well.
which flight it was. Today's been a blur. You went to use the bathroom as we were boarding.
Yes.
That was nuts. I was like, I mean,
because
I'd like to wait on him, but I was like, we gotta get on the flight.
No, I started thinking about it because I'm like, I kind of need to go, and I refuse to go to the bathroom on the plane. So I was like, I might as well just squeeze all I can out of it and. Let's just get back to it. So, but I felt like they were going to take off without me. Although I was a little nervous when I was coming back. The guy was like, "Final call for boarding." I was like,
Curtis had your back. He was like, "I think there's one more guy."
Yeah,
but
Yeah,
I
hold the
learned
plane.
something. I learned something about you, John, because you said the other day. I don't remember if it was on the show or off air, but you said that you play a game.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize the game was 2048.
Yeah,
which I love. I actually played it. I didn't play it today, but like I queued it up kind of because I was on my list of non-internet games that I could play on the flight. I respect that move.
Yep. I played aggressively too. I'm sitting there
swiping the piss out of that screen.
I pulled it up because it was one of the free games on the United app, and like I just turned it on. I didn't even know what it was, and I was just swiping things. Like I have no idea how to do this or what it is. Then I look over at John. I'm like, holy shit!
When you get the 2048 cube, because you're trying to get the small. You're trying to you don't want to run out of room. When you get the 2048, and I've even gotten the one above it. I forgot. It was like 4096. Is that the next one? But like, it's satisfying.
Yeah.
Well, United also has. This is what you need to start doing, John. If you want to overcome any flight anxiety, they have a free flight simulator game on United. I was landing planes.
I saw
wondering
this
what in the
happening.
world
You
they
were,
were
you were
doing.
doing this motion here.
Dude,
I was focused in, though, because I'm like, I'm not going to ask him because I'm sure he's going to freak out. And also, before we move on, because I know no one really cares about this part of it, before we move on, I'm sitting next to Andrew because, this we're on tiny little planes here, and we all can't have a 3-seater right together. So we're kind of, but we're sitting next to each other. And I'm sitting next to Andrew on the way down, and I have these noise-canceling headphones, which I think help, and I always want to know what the pilot's saying so I can know what to prepare for if he's like, hey, things are bad or something. So I lift him off, and I didn't hear what he said. I'm looking at Andrew, like, hey, what did he say? And Andrew goes, we're effed. That's what he said. It's like, and I was like, thank you. Yeah, it's like my anxiety's already bad enough as it is. But, hey, we made it in one piece, though.
You said you hated me in that moment, and it didn't even sound like that much of a joke.
Yeah.
I was like, I hate you.
Yeah, it's like the last thing I wanted to hear. All right, a few other chats, folks. Again, we appreciate everybody tuning in with us because, again, we're going live at a unique time.
Yeah.
But a lot of people tuning in and really appreciate it. This comes from Tim. He says, when are you guys going to KSR? I'm assuming you mean KS Bar. Live Thursday and Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern time locally here is when we'll be live over there. So actually, I got to call Matt Jones here this afternoon and make sure that we're good to go on all of that. So, but yeah, if you want to come by and, buy us drinks, maybe some food, be really nice, say how much you appreciate us. We will welcome that. You
can even call me a name if you buy me a beer.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. It's like you can either do one or the other. You either compliment us or you buy us a drink and you can say whatever you want to us. Yeah. We'll take either one of those. And of course, Michelle Wilkerson says, didn't even get the notification y'all were live. Well, you should have. Hopefully everybody else did. But it says, glad you're there, John, glad you're there, and John made it in one piece. Thank you. I didn't realize everybody was so concerned for my well-being. It makes me feel good.
She got mad at me because I tweeted that we were in Lexington before I text her that we were in Lexington.
Ooh,
so,
bad move.
I'm in a little bit of trouble for that one.
Bad move there. Okay, so this is something I did want to bring up. Eddie says, welcome to Lexington. Let's have fun. The college basketball world has all eyes on this game, even if Seth Greenberg disagrees. So I want to play this. I believe.
Okay.
I think I have the video. Yeah, I'm gonna pull up the video. I think I have it saved. So because you tweeted about this last night, Curtis, or quote tweeted it. He was on was it in Louisville that he was on a radio station?
Okay, it was ESPN Louisville.
Yeah, ESPN Louisville. And this has to do with the college game day location. We talked about this, how it didn't make any sense to us. The Duke, North Carolina is always iconic, we know. But it didn't make any sense to us that this one game for Arkansas, Kentucky, Cal return is not game day. And, well, here's Seth Greenberg kind of talking about it and getting pretty fired up about it, too.
You object to doing college game day from Arkansas, Kentucky, and lobby for Duke, Carolina. Is that true?
Stupidest question. Well, time out. All right. How long have you worked with ESPN?
22 years.
That's the stupidest statement in the history of life. And yet there are some idiots, and I call them idiots, the same ones that are sending me anti-Semitic messages, the same ones that are telling me I should die. All right.
Oh, nice.
Some idiots that live under rocks. All right. And you know what? I don't care if you're the greatest Kentucky fan in the world. Number one, those things are decisions are made by programming. Number two, Kentucky and Duke will outrate any game we could put on television. It's called a business. Number three, outside the state of Kentucky and Arkansas, no one gives a blank about having to bring it back so people can boo John Calipari or cheer him or whatever. So, here's the deal. Ignorance is undefeated. Stupid loses more than smart wins. And there are a whole lot of stupid people. Not a whole lot. I take that back. There are some incredible. I have some of my dearest friends that I've met working camps in Kentucky. My dearest friends in Louisville, in Lexington, great friends. That is by far, even you asking that question, that's the stupidest. You know who makes those decisions. Programming.
Well,
he's letting those mentions get to him, man.
Dude,
he's reading the comments too much. I mean, we've learned that lesson.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just say this. First of all, nobody outside of the state of Arkansas or Kentucky gives a rap about this game. I'll tell you what, nobody outside the state of North Carolina cares about Duke, North Carolina, especially when it's going to happen again in a couple weeks.
This particular year, I might add.
Exactly.
Obviously, Duke UNC is going to be cool, but I agree,
Right.
This particular game, it's not like all eyes are on it.
Yeah, I mean, Kentucky's balling. It's a great story with Cal coming back. Arkansas sucks right now. We get it. So does North Carolina. That was my biggest thing about it. If this is the typical, like kind of like what you're alluding to, Duke Carolina top 10 matchup, okay, fine. But they play twice. North Carolina has more losses than Arkansas. They're not making the tournament either. It's just you get this once. And I think it's a big deal. And I know ESPN feels the same way because I'm watching that Tennessee game last night, and they were promoting it over and over and over and over. And very few times did I hear them say a damn thing about Duke, North Carolina.
Another thing I'll add, literally last year, like 1 year ago today, almost to the day, Arkansas versus Kentucky was the college game day destination in Fayetteville. And it was a bad Arkansas team playing a Kentucky team that was starting to figure it out a little bit. Almost an identical situation, except now you add in the Coach Cal drama. Obviously, it's a very worthy college game day selection. If they chose to go a different direction, cool. But, like, clearly it was like a lot of people were kind of surprised by the decision. It would have made a lot of sense to do Arkansas, Kentucky. I'm not even really going to get too butthurt about it and be like, oh, it needed to be. But, like, for him to act like it was not even on the table, like it would have just been a stupid idea. Like that was very weird. And again, him citing, he's like, "Oh, all these people are telling me I need to die." It's like, what? What are you talking about, bro? Like they just. And by the way, the ESPN Louisville guys were just clearly messing with him.
That was bait.
Like clearly trolling him. They're literally laughing, and they're like, "Oh, nice." Whenever he says that people are trying to tell him to die, like, and I love him being like, "How long you been at ESPN?" He's like, 22 years. Like a long time.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. Like I remember I interviewed Seth at SEC Basketball Media Days, and I like Seth. I mean, I don't have any issues with him. But it's definitely when I hear that clip, I'm like, okay, man, like you said, the mentions and the comments are getting to him. But I'm also like, forget all that stuff that you just talked about. They had the national championship in college basketball about to happen this past year. And the number one story of that whole thing was John Calipari going to Arkansas. That was their lead story. That led every single Sports Center. That led every single, that was on national news. Like Fox News and CNN were talking about it. I mean, that was a massive story. Don't tell me that the only people that care about this return are the people in Arkansas and Kentucky. That's the stupidest thing I have ever heard. If that's the case, then why did national news all across the globe cover that story when he left Kentucky to go to Arkansas? Like, I just don't buy that. I don't buy that for a second. And I just think it's really strange that he decided to die on that hill of saying, like, nobody cares about it. So if you're a college basketball fan, casually, I promise you will be watching, because I can't tell you guys right now, if this was another Arkansas and Kentucky, say if Cal went to Tennessee, Vanderbilt, whatever, pick one, we're watching that game on Saturday. And so I just think it was really weird that he decided to go that direction.
I know Louisville's in the state of Kentucky, so maybe it doesn't completely disprove the point, but I think it speaks volumes that a Louisville guy was like, hey, what about Arkansas Cal? Like, he's thinking about it. And I know a lot of people are also just like, and I know we're an Arkansas show, so our numbers are based on Cal and stuff, but it's like, just go on the internet. Like, literally, that's all anyone's talking about. I mean, Duke and North Carolina is always going to be a prestigious thing, but I just don't see a ton of people being like, man, can't wait to see Cooper Flagg against that 12-9 North Carolina team.
Yeah, exactly. And you could tell just how triggered he was. And it was kind of unrelated to the question, because he immediately went into the personal attacks he's been getting. He's like, oh, the anti-Semitic stuff. And let me just tell you something. Some of my best friends in the world, I was coaching camps in Kentucky. And it's like, they're just asking you about game day, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man.
Yeah. Because, I'm not saying that Seth Greenberg's lying about it at all. I'm not saying that. But I'm just, anytime someone starts when they've asked about that and they bring up that remarks, like anti-Semitic remarks, it's like, you're like almost like wanting to play the victim a little bit, and because you've gotten hammered from people, and so it's a defensive mechanism, and so I get it, but it's just, dude, it's okay to admit that maybe this was wrong, or maybe, hey, I guarantee you, if anybody else was asked, they'd probably be like, hey, maybe we should have gone to Lexington, but it's out of our hands. I just go where I'm told. You could have just done that, but took it so personally.
Also, Seth Greenberg goes on Chuck and Bo every week and promotes Cal literally every single week. And he's like, I'm telling you, John Calipari, he's got this ship. It's going the right direction. It's like, why are you doing radio calls in Arkansas if nobody cares about Arkansas, Kentucky, and John Calipari? Just stupid.
Yeah, I just don't buy it. So anyways, thanks for bringing that up, because we definitely wanted to discuss it. Here's the thing also, folks, because, again, it's kind of a unique stream here, but I want to give a shout out. It is still technically here on the show, a Remember Wednesday, as we all know, then we appreciate Fayetteville Fly Co. for making it possible and being a part of it. I'm actually wearing the I always want to say the wrong thing because I know I'm going to do it. The Rod Hog.
Rod Hog.
The Rod Hog shirt. So if you like if you're a big outdoorsman, if you like to go fishing, hunting, all that, they got great apparel at fflyco.com. And it goes to great causes, too. 5% of it goes to a great cause, and it's a military and veteran-based company right there in Fayetteville. It's local. They got great apparel, hats. They got shirts. They got everything, and it's a growing company. If you go to the website, fflyco.com, promo code HOGSBY20, get 20% off your purchase. Doesn't matter how much you order, you will get 20% off. But we really appreciate Fayetteville Fly Co. and being a part of Remember Wednesday and being a part of us here in Inside Arkansas. So, but here's the thing. We'll get to your chats here again, too. I wanted to do just a Remember Wednesday. Very simple. Almost a question, I guess, but what's the memorable Arkansas-Kentucky game? First thing pops in your head. That's all of all time. Qualls. Okay.
I mean, for us,
that should have came directly to my mind, but it was Cal getting tossed, and maybe it's just maybe it's just because he's at the forefront of what's getting ready to happen. But Qualls for sure.
Yeah,
that was a big one. Yeah.
As weird as it is, and this is going to sound so stupid, and I wish I knew why it was this case. No one's going to remember this game. But the first game that came to my mind was when Arkansas lost, and it was in Bud Walton Arena when Tubby Smith was the coach, and it was like 2005. Rajon Rondo was on Kentucky.
Good.
And they came in, and Arkansas understand he had really struggled to get it going, and that was the weirdest. And the reason I bring it up is because Arkansas lost. They had a chance to win in the end, but they missed the shot. They lost by 1 point. It was like 61-60, something low scoring, but hard-fought game. Ronnie Brewer got hurt. He had to jump. He ran back onto the court out of the locker room. Place went nuts. Great crowd and all that. But here's why I remember it, because Arkansas lost, and after they lost, the entire crowd applauded because it was like, good effort. And I'm like, this is how far things have fallen. It's like that. Like this is how bad it is. It's like just to a Tubby Smith Kentucky team with Rajon Rondo and Saul Smith or whatever his son is. And well, guys, he tried to win a game against Kentucky at home. I was like, golly. So that's as random as it is. That's the first one that pops in my mind for Arkansas Kentucky.
We actually were talking about one of these notable individual performances in the Arkansas Kentucky rivalry when Jody Meeks set the Bud Walton Arena scoring record, scoring 45 points back in 2009 on Valentine's Day. There's a lot of, I'll be honest with you. Kentucky leads the all-time series 36-14.
Yeah.
There are a lot of awesome Kentucky-Arkansas memories that have not gone Arkansas's way. I didn't remember this. So you remember, we always reference the year that Arkansas beat Kentucky twice, 2014. Yep. I think that was the year that Kentucky went to the NIT. If I'm maybe not. Maybe
no, they went to the national championship game that year.
So it was the year. Was it the year before the NIT?
Before that, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, so that year they beat him twice. After that, Arkansas lost 8 straight to Kentucky. I kind of just wiped that out from my memory for obvious reasons. But I didn't realize it was that dominant of a stretch. But sneaky, Arkansas's last few trips to Rupp have gone pretty well. They lost the most recent game. Man.
Mm-hmm.
It was so last year was the weird one. You had the Devo absence game that was 63-57 when GameDay was there. Then Arkansas goes to Rupp later that year, and it's 111-102 in Rupp. That was just kind of a chaotic, rare, good scoring game from Arkansas there. And then they beat Mikael Mitchell, owned Kentucky back in 2023.
God, I remember that game.
Let's see, what did he go off for? He went 15, 4, and 5 blocks.
He stuffed Sheboy in a locker.
Dude.
Yeah.
Sheboy had no response that game.
7-7.
And then when they ran it back a few weeks later in Bud Walton, they were trying to get real physical with him. It was almost like a twins on Sheboy brawl, and then Devo wound up getting kicked out because he was upset.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there were
for reasons.
Kentucky's played well in Bud Walton lately. They've had. Dating back to that Cal, getting tossed game, that was a big one. But then Arkansas's been competitive in Rupp here lately for whatever reason.
And then last year had the weirdest ones where you saw the highest scoring game known to man at the end of the year, but then one of the lowest scoring games known to man the earlier part of the year. So. Yeah, there's been some interesting matchups between the two for sure. Geez, okay. Shout out to Sasha Jackson. Drinks on me, guys. Enjoy it. Sasha.
Hey,
listen.
Jeez,
we now
appreciate
have
it.
$350 worth of drinks to consume tonight.
Yeah.
So if
don't hold us to a high standard tomorrow.
Bad happens to us, y'all know where to look. But seriously, Sasha's popped in before. Sasha's a good for just a random. Every 2 months, just drop a massive bag.
Yeah, and I'll say this because this again, Logan and Sasha, thank you so much. You don't even have to do that, but it means a lot to us, and I know we say that, but it truly does because we don't ask for chats, we don't ask for super chats, we don't ask for money, and we will never do that. It's that's not your call. You got enough things going on in your life. So that's where it's like you, out of the goodness of your heart, just decide to do it. It means a lot because, we're trying to put in the work, and it just shows a real appreciation for what we do. And so we want to also appreciate you for, believing in us and being a part of it. So it's really awesome.
And
man.
we're not investing this into Bitcoin. It's going to be used for exactly what you guys wish.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. If you give us a super chat and you want it to be specifically used for something within reason, then we'll try to make sure that happens. But thank you.
And the Kentucky fans, by the way, obviously, I read a stat today. I don't know if this is accurate or not, so forgive me if I'm just lying. I read a stat that 95% of the bourbon in the world it comes from Kentucky.
Jeez. I mean,
maybe.
I thought
maybe it was United States. Maybe it was United States. But I read a stat that was like baffling on the Kentucky bourbon thing. But for real though, the local Kentucky people. I'm not a huge bourbon guy. My brother loves bourbon. I might dabble with some makers tonight. But if there's like a specific bourbon where you're like, hey, if you're not a bourbon guy, you'll like this one. Point me in the direction of that because I do want to try out the. That's what this state was built upon.
No,
yeah.
Apparently so.
Yeah, my brother's a big bourbon guy too, and I don't know if turned me on to is the right way because I don't drink it regularly, but he gave me my first taste of Buffalo Trace, which is what they were telling us to go. I guess that's out here. And I remember the first sip I took of it, right away, 3 hairs grew on my chest. 3 new hairs. Right. I mean, the first sip, man, is something else.
Yeah, put a little lead in your pencil. Well, it's and it's funny too because there were people in the chat talking about it and talking about what it's made for and everything, but I don't know. I just wonder if people get asked, like kind of like we were doing for the Uber driver, like, hey, what do you do here? And I started thinking about when I asked that to him, what would I say in Fayetteville? It's like, as far as being known for something, like there's no alcohol you're known for in Northwest Arkansas, really, and not really any beer, not really necessarily any food specifically. But
yeah, Fayetteville doesn't have a calling card, I wouldn't say.
No, it's just a cool place.
Yeah,
it's got a little bit of everything. Like it's like
the trails.
Yeah, the outdoorsyness.
Yeah.
It has enough to where it's like if there's anything you want to do, you can do it in Fayetteville, but there's not too much going on to where it's like overwhelming. It has that. It's like a souped up small town, is what it is.
Whatever your expectations are coming into Northwest Arkansas, you will leave impressed.
Yeah,
like it's gonna over deliver no matter what it is you wind up trying to do. I think that's the cool thing about Fayetteville.
I tell people all the time with Fayetteville because like I always, growing up, I lived in Central Louisiana. I didn't go to Fayetteville that much. I'd go maybe once a year, twice if I was lucky, maybe like one basketball, one baseball, or something like that. So I didn't really spend a ton of time in Northwest Arkansas. I knew I wanted to do this and that I wanted to cover Arkansas. Living in Fayetteville wasn't like a selling point for me to move up to Northwest Arkansas, but I always heard people be like, oh, it's like the best place to live, top 5 college town, top 5 whatever. And I never really like cared that much because I wouldn't say outgoing. I'm not outgoing. I don't get out much. Like I don't really go out. I'm not on Dixon a ton. Like, so I didn't really like care that much when I was moving to Northwest Arkansas, but I don't think I'm ever going to live anywhere else for sure.
Yeah. Also, Sasha just followed up and says, happy to do it. Y'all make my day. Love hearing about the Hogs every day.
Yeah.
Well, good. We appreciate it.
Yeah, glad we can be a part of it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You're gonna hear about the Hogs every day here on Inside Arkansas. That is what we do. Also, then a few people like Carl here says, just want to welcome y'all to Lexington, Kentucky. Enjoy y'all's time out here and have a good time. Thanks, man.
Appreciate that.
We've had an uptick in just nice, normal Kentucky folks lately. And it really
it's
like,
good. Yeah,
obviously every fan base, like we always paint all these fan bases in bad, but it's like every fan base has your good apples and it has your bad apples. So it's cool that we've gotten
I'm anxious to see how this evolves over the course of the next couple of days as we get closer to the game, as we're live out there at KS Bar, and then obviously the post game, depending on how this one goes, it might get a little spicy, but that's okay. It's part of the fun.
Well, it's almost like good, but also bad in the same way. Where the game's so late on Saturday night, like if Arkansas pulled off the upset and won that game, there's not a whole lot of time to like marinate it and be out and about among the people. So maybe that's kind of a good thing because maybe people just kind of go home and sleep it off a little bit, sleep off the pain and frustrations that they have.
Did you guys hear the Tennessee post game show? The dude that called in and was just crashing out.
No, I didn't hear that.
I should pull up the video if I can find it, or I'll at least show you guys later. Maybe we'll play it tomorrow. But it was
pretty
It was
epic.
intense. If we opened the phone lines in the post games, we would probably get some things similar. It was like drunk, angry Eddie in Clarksville, like on steroids. I mean, it was insane, dude. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we may have to play that then because I always love it when seeing other fan bases crash out hard and go through some tough times. Makes you feel like makes you feel relatable a little bit there too. A few chats here too. Glenn says nobody cares about Pope. Yeah, that's why he's a top contender for Coach of the Year. Moron.
I started this because did either of us say that, or
I
was
think
it Greenberg? Maybe.
Well, I think he's referring to Greenberg. Yeah, I don't think he's referring to us. At least I don't think so. Like that, you could be completely wrong, but that's the way I took it. Is that he was more just in the moment. Yeah, because we did not say that. So
gotcha. I actually I feel like I have a pretty positive opinion of Mark Pope. Ever since SEC Media Days, when I saw Mark Pope and realized he was way bigger than he looked on TV.
It's huge.
He's a big guy. He had that Letterman jacket. I was like, you know what?
They've started putting out like still pics of him defending Kobe Bryant, and like
Dude,
different things.
I've seen Mark Pope defending any early 2000s NBA player, like Vince Carter, friggin' Kevin Garnett, whoever. It didn't matter.
No.
He is. He's getting to the point with me where he's. I mean, he's a really, really good coach. We knew that coming in. Like, I was wondering about, all right, like, are you going to be able to get the talent? I know it's Kentucky, but, like, is it going to be able to maintain? Because he's a really good X's and O's guy. He's innovative. But he's also, he's almost just such a good guy that I don't even want to like him anymore.
I know.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm just like, can you just do something to, I don't know, rub somebody the wrong way? He's a pretty genuine dude, too, and that just pisses me off.
Yeah.
But,
and he's a
good guy, man.
And he is a Kentucky Wildcat, so he's like, I mean, this is his thing. Like, he is here.
He's out there
for
holding
that.
babies after the games, and I'm like, come on.
Yeah. It's like, just relax there for a little bit. I saw one of y'all start this, but it's a good point too. He's like, don't forget about Jackson Robinson's revenge game on Arkansas.
It's too bad that, like, the only person he'll be able to stick it to is, like, Ronnie Brewer.
Yeah,
Because,
Riley.
you know.
Yeah, Riley Hall out there.
I spoke to Jackson Robinson. The only person I spoke to more than Adu Thero at SEC Media Day was Jackson Robinson. Me and Bob just were chatting it up with Jackson for a while. And I can confirm, he has absolutely zero animosity towards Arkansas and towards even the program. It's a 100% an Eric Musselman thing. I mean, it just is. I hate to, like, make it that cut and dry, but that was his thing. I think he clearly has negative feelings about Muss, and he feels he got done dirty, which, you know, he's more than well within his rights, I would say, even though I feel like it played out how it needed to for him. I don't think Jackson Robinson is going into this being like, gotta bust these guys up. Like, I'm sure he wants to play well, wants to always, but I don't think he's, like, super motivated in that regard.
Did he play with Trevin?
See, that's what I was going to ask.
Was that the same year?
I think
his year, was that Trevin's first? Or
no, I think it was.
No,
it was
the year
J.D.
after.
Note was his first year.
That's right.
Trevin was with the Anthony Black Jordan Walsh
Right.
team. That was his first year.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So, but Jackson Robinson did play against Trevin Brazil when he was at Missouri. So maybe there was some beef
Did do
there.
that.
He beat Trevin. He was on a team that beat Trevin by 170 that one time.
Yeah. So there it is. There's the storyline. That's for Jackson Robinson.
Jackson Robinson,
revenge
Trevin.
against Trevin Brazil at Missouri.
Rekindling the beef.
Yeah. Let's see. A few more chats here. It says, guys, in the absolute miracle we win, I expect a 3-man court storming in Rupp. If y'all need bailout money, we got your GoFundMe account ready to go.
Good to know.
Thanks, Hog, on it.
That is good to know.
Yeah.
Hopefully they don't throw us in jail for storming the court. I mean, come on.
No, seriously. I was really, if there was a way to travel with it, maybe there was, and people just go like, oh, you got to do it this way. But I really just wanted to bring a bag of that Razorback chicken nuggets with Tyson, just to like, because I want to be like, if they won, I just wanted to place it on the middle of the court and just walk away and be like, chicken man. But you know that's not going to happen, and I don't think they probably sell Razorback chicken nuggets here in Lexington at the local WalMarts.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
not the
probably
Razorback
not.
ones.
But I bet they sell the Dino Nuggets.
They do
I'll be honest with you. Y'all ready for this? The Dino Nuggets are better. The Razorback Nuggets are good. They are the fattest patties in the world. And I get both, honestly. Like, I eat them regularly. The Dino Nuggets are better.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to I have the Razorback Nuggets sitting in my freezer. When I get home, I'm going to get the Dinos.
I think that, don't they do the BYU thing at Rupp? The ice cream?
Do they really?
I think so.
Don't
What do
do
you mean the
that,
ice cream?
Kentucky. Where they hand ice cream to the opposing fans?
Or, I mean, I don't know about that, but I think they have, like, legit soft serve ice cream. And, yeah, I think it's a thing at Rupp.
Okay.
I've seen Jay Billis do it.
Okay.
So.
Well, if that's the thing, that's okay. I thought it was because you're handing out, and I was like, don't do that. That's the BYU thing. If you're handing out ice cream to opposing fans, you don't need to be in the SEC.
I wouldn't turn it down.
No, I wouldn't turn it down, but I'd be like, this is lame. Come on, guys. Like this is bad. Shout out to JP for the Super J. Says, not a hundo, but my $2 comes with tons of love. Hey, we love
just
love.
the same, man.
Yeah, we appreciate that too. Ben says, just think Cal has started KSR and now Inside Arkansas. Is that true? When he hired, I guess that's when KSR got going?
Timeline wise, it seems about right,
I don't think so.
No, I don't know.
Because I remember Matt Jones from KSR, like
Patino.
Yeah, and I remember him talking about how he didn't want Cal at first because he didn't like the
Maybe that's
allegations.
where they really took off or something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, same kind of for us where it's like we existed before.
We'll find out tomorrow.
But we definitely rode the coattails of Cal. I really just had to star this because his name is Ben Laughlin. Laughlin.
Not
he's like Arkansas's first baseman last year without McDonald's.
Oh.
That's right.
Jeez. All right. Let's see. Just a couple more chats here too, because I know we got other stuff we're going to dive into. Cody says, is a Kentucky fan, by the way. He says, want to know how to get a few tips from Kentucky fans? Put a bucket out on your table with a piece of paper. Says, keep Cal and Arkansas fun. You'll be millionaires before you leave. You know what? That's not a bad idea. Maybe we'll see how that goes. If we're really thirsty for it.
You have to be a real moron to contribute to that fund, I got to say.
Yeah. Do you really think we're going to give it to like, hey, Mr. Tyson and Mr. Yurchek, we've collected this for you just to make sure you keep Cal here. And I'm sure they'll be like, hey, thanks. And then just give us the old wazoo. So, and actually, speaking of that, let's go ahead and use that as part of our Arkansas update presented by Davis and Garrett Insurance, your independent auto owners insurance agency, securing what matters the most. So I'm going to set this up for you guys because we've had people in the chat asking us about this new email that got sent out about seating and everything. I hadn't had a chance really to read through it. And Curtis, Andrew, I know you guys kind of went through it. So what is that? What is going on that people are talking about when it comes to foundation giving and tickets and all that stuff?
It doesn't seem like there's that much of a notable update because when I got the email and saw the heading for it and I think they tweeted out something, I kind of was intrigued and I was like, oh, I can't wait to read through that later. And then right before we did the show, I was kind of reading through it and I was like, really just seems like they're asking for a lot of money, which obviously there's no shame in that in and of itself. But it was definitely framed as hey, we've got this new thing that's going to happen and fans, if you give us $40,000, we'll let you choose your seat in a specific section. It was a long story short, TLDR. It was basically, they're trying to make up for revenue sharing. So they're trying to get more donations to the Razorback. Okay. So obviously donating to the Razorback Foundation gets you a little bit, in higher regard. And so you can kind of, for people because I know a lot of people are upset about their seats and, I got moved here. And so there wasn't a ton of specifics on the relocation of it. Because when they said that, I was like, oh, damn, are they going to move the student section? Are they going to move whatever? It does just basically seem like you can choose your seats based on how much you donate, which doesn't seem that dissimilar from what was going on before.
Yeah, it's cost of doing business. They're trying to do whatever they can to figure out how they're going to have that money, for the revenue sharing every year. They have these tiers that they're using, and based on the tiers, there's a limit to the amount of tickets that you can get. But as I understand it, at least at the lower levels, you're not guaranteed the seat that you had. If you're a previous season ticket holder and you continue to buy in, you are still privy to season tickets, but just maybe not at your same seat. It's weird, man. And so they've got a timeline thing, and basically you just have to fill out a form after you select your tier or whatever. It's the season ticket request form, and after that in early August it'll just open up, and then it's just seating and parking selection process begins. And so it might just be a free for all. I bet you think this is gonna go smoothly?
No.
You
absolutely
know what I mean?
Not.
It's gonna tick people off.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, here's my thing, and I'm not trying to be defend anybody or anything, but it's just like you said, cost of doing business. That's just the way that's the way it is everywhere. Where it's if you're donating a certain amount and you have these tickets and everything, and then they come to you and say, hey, you're gonna have to donate more, and you get upset. But it's well, the reason being is because someone's donating more than you, and they would get that priority of tickets. It's just how it is. It's how it always will be. So I get that element. It's just a matter of time. You're never gonna get the timing right either. Because if you're bad as an athletic department or basketball team, they're going, oh, well, you're asking this when we're terrible. And then if you're good, they're like, oh, you waited until we're good. Now you're asking for more money. So you're never going to please everybody. I understand, especially when dealing with money. But yeah, from what you guys said and what it looks like, it seems pretty normal and basic.
I want to read to you guys the membership levels real quick, just
Okay.
because
These
it's
are
funny.
yeah.
The 40,000 plus one that everybody's all up in arms about, that is the Broyles Matthews Diamond.
Oh.
That's the big dog. They can get you up to 14 tickets, but it's not guaranteed, that maximum, by the way. And 3 parking passes. Then it goes down. It's Broyles Matthews Platinum, Broyles Matthews Gold, Broyles Matthews Silver. But then when you get below the $5,000 tier, you have Super Hog, Wild Hog, Tush Hog, Big Hog, Big Red, and Razorback.
I want to be Big Hog.
Those are all your tiers.
Oh, my gosh.
John, you used the term normal, and this is pretty normal. I mean, obviously, not the naming and all that is a little bit different. This is like, and I think Curtis said, cost of doing business. It's kind of standard practice. So, like, I'm not gonna act like I'm super offended by the premise of this whole thing. I get it. I guess the whole thing that kind of threw me off, and I think probably some fans, is when I got that email and it was like reseating and reparking distribution plan. I was like, oh, wow, this is going to be, especially because we've all been talking all year about how the atmosphere has gone to the shitter. The entire feel in the arena is just completely different. We feel like there's a disconnect between the University of fans. So whenever I get this email and I get this announcement, I'm kind of like, oh, this could be interesting. So to find out that it wasn't was a little bit of a pull the rug out from under some folks, I'd imagine.
And it also, like, one of my biggest takeaways from all of this is that there's also been some confirmation that the renovations just aren't going to happen.
Yes.
At Bud. And that's a big thing for me, because before, I remember Juracek saying specifically, like, well, like, we're going to put that on the side burner while we figure all these other things out. It's not even on the back burner. Like, I just don't think it's really in the works anytime soon with the renovations.
I want to credit Matt Jones of Whole Hog Sports, who had a story about this, and I read through that whole thing. And there's quotes from a guy in the Razorback Foundation, if y'all want to check that out. But one of the quotes says, priorities have changed regarding the new renovation thing, which we kind of knew was the case, but it was basically give us money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and that's what the whole point of it is to get money and to make money and to continue it on. But and no one's holding a gun to your head either. It's not like you're getting taxed. It's like, oh, my taxes are going up because they need a new arena. Like, no, it's not that. It's just, if you want to give, great, and if not, you don't have to. It's up to you. So. Anyways, like this from JS, he says, y'all got your own Matt Jones?
Oh, you have no idea.
We've got 2. We have a historically great quarterback, all-time legend who
radio personality.
Does radio. Does any Arkansas fan know that that's a thing, by the way? That Matt Jones does radio?
Yeah. He did, maybe when he was on the Buzz back in the day.
Maybe.
He's been at 2 different places.
I don't think the general public knows that. But yeah, we have that guy. There's obviously the Whole Hog Sports Matt Jones, who does a good job, and then there's Mason Jones's brother, who played at Duke, Matt Jones, a good 3-and-D wing. I mean, you got the Florida running back. There's no shortage of Matt Joneses.
It might be the most common name.
It has to be.
Yeah. I mean, it's not exactly going out crazy with it. It's like Matt Jones. There's a lot of Matts and there's a lot of Joneses.
They're all unique in their own ways.
And man, now that is the biggest truth.
No, that really is true. They're all very different human beings.
Yeah. Our guy Logan says, do you want Bud Walton to get renovated, Curtis, or you want to leave it how it is?
Yeah, give it a makeover, man. I'm all for modernizing the thing. There are a lot of stuff they can do, and I'm not the guy who gets to sit in the suites, although I used to break into them after every game and do a stand-up in there afterwards. Those suites need big time.
Yes.
They're just rooms with like a table in them.
Like a popcorn machine in the corner.
Yeah, they could do a lot better there. I like the idea of obviously moving the student section around, and people have talked about reducing seating and everything like that. Well, I mean, they're not filling it up nowadays, but I think you could make a lot of really cool improvements and modernize it without, taking 5,000 seats out of the place. You wouldn't have to do that.
Well, and ultimately, they haven't had an issue selling the tickets. I know they have an issue filling the seats, but in terms of selling the seats, they haven't had an issue there. So if you've had, 4 or 5 straight years now that they've sold out season tickets pre-season, I don't think you're going to just get a university that's like, you know what, we actually just want to sell less tickets. We want to sell less seats. And so I don't think I agree. Like, I think there's ways to renovate it without doing that. But in terms of would it be a good idea, I definitely think the student section thing needs to. I mean, and you don't even have to renovate the arena to do that.
No,
That's another thing. Whenever you have, we're going to relocate and we're going to redo seating. That's the kind of thing I was hoping to read, because you just turn on some of these other games. You turn on the Duke game and you see the Cameron Crazies right there. You turn on Big East games and you see the student section on TV. At Arkansas, you just see a bunch of empty seats that are bought by rich folks that nobody's sitting in. That's what you see. You literally have the worst section of the crowd is on TV at Bud Walton Arena. That's got to change.
Yeah, it does. And here's the thing. You can take it as, oh, man, Bud Walton's just not what it used to be as far as the facility-wise and everything. I think it's more of a credit to just what they built in 1993. I think that here we are, what is that, 30, 40?
32 years ago.
32 years ago, and we're just now kind of talking, because they've never had a major facelift. And we're just now talking about, I could probably use a few things here and there. Like, it just shows you how state-of-the-art and how incredible it's aged.
Somebody said it might have been you, but somebody said this week that Bud Walton is almost as old now as Barnhill was when Bud was built.
That's mind blowing to think about, because Bud Walton seems like brand new, but at this point, it's not brand new.
That's true.
And Bud Walton's still awesome. Like, we're really not trying to make this a thing where like Bud Walton has lost its luster again.
But they're gonna have to take the slobber hog off the court next year. Sorry,
man,
it didn't work.
You had 1 year.
I mean,
yeah.
Would that be even more shameful though? That they were like, you know what, we gave it our all and it sucks, and the team's bad, and so.
Oh man, yeah. I don't know. Here's the thing. I want them to make it modernized and all that, and it just is unfortunate too because of the timing of it. But as long as they kept the spirit of it and the atmosphere of it, but now the atmosphere just hasn't. I mean, it's not been bad. Like the game against Oklahoma was about as good as it's got, but it's just not what it used to be. We've talked like ad nauseum about it, but it's just you if you're going to do some stuff, that's fine, but also just don't change the entire thing and make it to where it's unrecognizable and it's not the same. Just don't do that. Just stick with that.
I have a question.
What's up?
About we talk about the game day experience. I wanted to get your thoughts on Saturday's halftime Simon Says extravaganza.
It's just what it was is I was mad at myself because I was mad at myself for not being more mad about it. Yeah. Because it's just because I've become accustomed to it. Whatever it was, all of that, I'm just sitting there. I'm like, what are we doing here? What is this?
I was sitting there with Brendan, and when it ended, I just looked over at him. I said, sadly, I think I was more entertained by this than I have been any other.
I got to say, they did the Whataburger tic-tac-toe thing for a while.
Still do.
I liked that they switched, they did a thing where it was the sliding on the mattress thing.
Yeah,
I guess that was Wednesday night. I liked that.
Yeah. I mean, I give them credit for trying something new, but bring back what was it, Red Panda? What's she doing? Like the dishes and stuff, or quick change? Do that stuff. Real quick, there was one of the coolest things. They did this when I was probably like 19, 20. They brought these guys named the Bucket Boys. I don't know if you ever heard of them, but they were these guys from Chicago that literally had, like those big plastic buckets that you see like on farms and whatnot. And they just came out there and they drummed, and it was incredible. Like it just grew. Yeah, it was like, just do stuff like that. It doesn't have to be anything too insane. Just do it like that.
A little cup stacking.
Yeah. Like put on, bring in a Chris Angel, and have him put on a show.
Bring back Duke Deuce.
Yeah, Duke Deuce.
That is, I mean, since he left, what has this been?
Hey, by the way, Duke Deuce showed up at that Arkansas-Kentucky game back in when I guess it was 2022. Yeah, 21-22 season. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
that was good.
They need to get Duke Deuce in the arena Saturday.
Mm-hmm. I was actually speaking when going back to the Remember Wednesday part. Was that the game that like JD Note had 30, but he had 8 steals or something crazy like that, and no turnovers?
I think that,
or maybe it was 8 assists and no turnovers, something like that.
It was a legacy game, and it was his first dunk of the season.
That's right, yes. Because I remember thinking, I was like, okay, he's in another element when we see JD Note out there getting dunks.
Yeah, in traffic, man. And it was crazy because in the red-white game, he did like the self-lob and windmill. And I asked him after that, and I was like, so in a game, though, you wouldn't do that, right? And he's like, I'll do it. Like, I don't care what Ness says.
Is what he had. He had 30 and 8 assists, and he was 13 of 26.
And
he was actually efficient from the floor there.
And I think, did he have 0 turnovers? I thought that's what he had 5. Never mind. So I thought he had more than that or less than that. But yeah, that was also a great game and a fun game. That was when Arkansas had that stretch where they beat Auburn, and then they beat Kentucky at home, and then they beat Tennessee at home, like the best teams.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that was fun.
Arkansas,
Good times.
Arkansas did not clamp Oscar Tshiebwe in this game. He went for 30 and 18 on Jalen Williams, who every time, I love Jalen Williams. Jalen Williams, all-time great Hog. He's having a nice little career. Every time he went up against another top SEC big man, he got his ass busted.
Cooked.
Mm-hmm.
Him, Castleton, Tolu Smith, any of those dudes.
Was it who was the Auburn guy that I hated? Everyone hated
Walker Kessler.
Yes, Kessler.
Walker Kessler was a monster.
He was
good. No, he was good, but still, I hated him.
Yeah.
But you know what? Jalen Williams made up for it by taking charges.
He sure did.
And dunking on Paolo
Banchero. What?
As centers tend to do, take charges.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. All right, a few more of your chats, folks. So again, appreciate everybody tuning in with us. And hey, speaking of you Kentucky fans out there, if you see any Arkansas Kentucky basketball tickets floating around, just let us know. You know, we're looking for them, not for us, of course, but for others. But yeah, just let us know if you come across any tickets. I'm sure that they're pretty easy to find. You know, pretty cheap, relatively speaking. So
yeah, totally.
Shoot me a DM if you come across any. Brandon just says, what part of central Louisiana, Andrew? I went to school in Leeville, born in Fort Polk.
Yeah, so I grew up in Pineville, Louisiana. I went to high school in Alexandria, so like dead smack dab in the middle of central Louisiana. So about less than an hour from Leesville. Okay. And Leesville, decent strip club there in Leesville, or so I'm told.
Is that right?
There was also a Marble Slab, you know, the ice cream place.
Yeah. It's like what does it used to be called? Or the place that I remember, at least it was in Fayetteville. What was it called? Like they had
Cold Stone?
Cold Stone, yeah, Cold Stone Creamery.
Well, I just remember in Leesville there was a Marble Slab, and it was like a 50-minute drive from Alexandria. But we would always, me and my buddies, like once a summer, we would make the trek up there because we loved that they would do the ice cream in front of us. We thought it was cool.
Yep. Also, this comes from Richard. He says Kentucky has nobody connected to Cal, so no pressure on our guys. Fans have a connection to Cal, and his guys have the pressure. It's just another poor team to us.
Okay. Okay. I get it, you know, trolling. Like, why even lie about this? Like, why even type out a sentence like so clearly untrue?
Mm-hmm. And also, the pressure, I think, still is 100% on Mark Pope in this game.
Yeah.
More so than anyone. Because if they, coming off of a win against Tennessee on the road, if his team lays an egg in this game against Cal and lose, it's on him more than anybody. Really, it is.
It's not that Kentucky, a win would really do anything for Kentucky, but a loss would really put this fan base in a pretzel.
Yes.
And so that's really where it comes down to. Like, I mean, and like you can say, oh yeah, if we lost Arkansas, it'd be no big deal. It would be a huge deal. I mean, look at the ticket prices. Just talking about it.
Yeah.
It ain't like it's gonna be the way it is Saturday. It's not like it's just going to be any old regular game.
No. In fact, anybody who is a part of any of the basketball program or fan base of Arkansas or Kentucky that says it's just another game is clearly lying. There is zero chance this is just another game. It's not. So stop even trying to convince yourself of that. Because I'd like to see any Kentucky fan, if they lost to Arkansas, just saying like, yeah, that's the way it goes sometimes, you know. Like there's a good Arkansas team, you know. It's just, nobody's gonna say that.
I still feel as confident in Mark Pope as I did coming into this.
Yeah, exactly. That's just not going to happen. But then on the opposite, you got this guy, Haynes, that says, hey, I bleed blue. I just think we've jinxed ourselves on this game, and I think Arkansas wins.
That's an obvious reverse jinx attempt. Mm-hmm. The basketball gods will not accept it. I'm just letting you know right now.
We're onto your game.
Don't try planting those seeds. Nah, it doesn't work like that.
And also, Matt Jones, one of the other million Matt Jones out there, says, when you at KS Bar.
I was going to say, you tell us, man. It's your establishment.
Cheers. Again, tomorrow and Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern time. The more people that ask, the more concerned I'm going to start getting. People are like, hey, when are you there? When are you there? Yeah. It's like, we'll be around.
But you know what everyone says? The wings are great. Like several people have said that.
Right, well, I'm definitely going to get wings because I'm a big wing.
I heard you have to wear a Kentucky jersey to get in there.
We're fresh out. I did not pack mine.
I'll wear a Shea Gilgeous-Alexander jersey easily.
I got my Devin Askew somewhere.
You know what? Hey, you know what? That should be a good question since we got. Who is our favorite Kentucky player? Like that we remember watching.
SGA is very high up on the list. I mean, I've been a huge fan of his. Even, matter of fact, I used to be yelling at Coach Cal because he wouldn't start him early in the year. Wouldn't start him.
You yelling at Coach Cal for not starting somebody?
I'm not even joking. I'm being dead serious. They played Kansas in the Champions Classic or whatever, and Shea came off the bench and played like 12 minutes, and I was like, this dude's unreal. Like, what's going on? He was, you know, who he was playing over him a lot. Well, I mean, they played together a little bit. Kevin Knox, who sucks and sucked at Kentucky, but I don't know, somehow he got drafted into the top 10 and then, you know, hung around for a while. But God, I remember I used to hate watching Kevin Knox. That was my least favorite Kentucky player.
I think mine, as weird as it is, and it's like not. I like Julius Randle. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Just because I think you just seemed not only the way he played, but I don't know, he just seemed like a decent guy. You know, he wasn't a jerk. He wasn't, you know, like some of those other Kentucky players that were so arrogant. He was just a good player. I'd say probably Julius Randle was my favorite.
Yeah, mine's probably Malik Monk. Or...
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Archie Goodwin.
Yeah, Archie Goodwin.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very. I mean, AD.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess that's true.
It's just like, how can you?
Best freshman season anyone's ever had
man.
in any sport.
He popularized the unibrow. I mean, it's just.
He was awesome.
He was phenomenal.
They only lost like what, 3 games that year. They lost that Indiana stupid play game thing, and then
the SP Player of the Year, bro.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah.
I forgot who else they lost to randomly, but I think they won the SEC tournament too, and then just rolled through the tournament and wasn't even close. So yeah, it was really good. But Tony Delk was another one I know a lot of people bring up from
great
Kentucky.
SEC network analyst.
Yep. Was it what was his name? He used to play for the Celtics. That sometimes on the SEC network. He was played for Kentucky.
Antoine Walker.
Anton Walker. Yeah, I kept on saying Antoine Jameson, though, wasn't it? Antoine Walker.
Big body. One of the rare big body basketball players.
Yeah.
You know, he was one of the thickest you'll see.
Yeah. He was a thick boy there. So, all right. So yeah, a few more of your chats, folks, and we'll get close to wrapping up here again. Appreciate everybody. Have we decided what we're going to eat tonight or where we're going to go?
I don't know, but I'm ready.
Dude,
for it.
We haven't eaten all day, and I've been waiting so patiently to eat something new that's going to be good. And
I could eat. You
know, it's like when you go to the grocery store, you should never go when you're hungry because then you just start eating. It's like I feel like that's the way it's going to be tonight. Where we're not going to be able to decide because everything's going to sound good. So
but the more we're talking about it, wrap up the show.
Yeah, we're out of here. But no, a few chats real quick. I guess Charles says prediction for the game Saturday. I mean, we were already doing that.
Pain.
We have to predict an Arkansas win, whether we believe it or not. In this situation, we usually don't do that. Like we're usually pretty.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's be honest. Like, what's the worst that's going to happen? People are going to say that I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean,
exactly. Anyways.
What's the most point total for Arkansas in SEC play so far?
Like 52.
74 against LSU, I think.
Is
that what it was? 78, 74?
It was close. Yeah, it was
in the 70s, yeah.
I think Arkansas will score their most points in SEC play in this game.
That's a good little prediction.
77-69, suck it.
Really?
Already there.
Hold him to 69 and Rupp?
Yeah.
Oh,
nice.
Man.
Dude.
21% from 3.
Here's my prediction. If Arkansas scores 80 points in this game, they win. Yeah. That's what I think. If they score 80 points in this game, they will win the game.
Now, Kentucky's
not including
the weird
overtime,
thing
though. Like
Kentucky,
regulation.
Their worst games are like 72, 73. You know what I mean? Like they'll score anywhere from 72 to 120.
Let's put 78 on Tennessee on the road.
Right. I was gonna say they'll score anywhere from like in the mid 70s to 120. Like that's kind of their range. Yeah, no, I don't know. Who the hell knows? I really think, we keep doing this thing where we're like, oh yeah, Arkansas is gonna have to make threes. I think we could really be looking at a rock fight a little bit.
Maybe so. There is like this belief out there where it's just like Kentucky's playing really well, Arkansas is not. It's just going to be a blowout. I'm going to be very disappointed if Arkansas just gets their ass kicked.
I will be too. I agree.
I'll be really disappointed if that's
But we
the case.
also said that going into the Tennessee game, and I felt the same way. Where I was like, Arkansas will keep this one, but it definitely wouldn't like stun me. But I agree. Where I'm like, I don't think it's as cut and dry as it seems.
I just feel like Cal has been obsessing over this game, though. Like, he does that. There's certain games where he'll just obsess over it. Not saying that I'll just automatically lead to a win, but I would be extremely shocked if they get blown out by, like, 16 points. Like, where it's not even close. Like, it's one thing if you keep hitting free throws at the end or whatever, but if we get to the under 8 timeout in the second half and Arkansas is down by 15 or more points, I'll be shocked. That's how I look at it. Let's just hope that's not the case.
I will leave and come back here to start the show.
Yeah. I will leave and continue to talk about it and have to relive it a little bit. A few more here. Captain Marvel says, I love Thero, but if he's your best player, you're in trouble.
Buddy, we
are in trouble.
We've been in trouble for a
what
while.
Do you mean?
We're very
They're
much
1
in
and
trouble.
7. Like,
Dude,
That's a great comment.
Yeah.
great comment. Like, yeah, well, that's kind of been the thing that we've been discussing all year. But yeah, and I feel the exact same way. Love a Duke hero. But
Yeah.
yeah, if he's your number one scorer, that's kind of a sign.
Also, why Joe says try Lex Live. Sorry, not Text Live. Lex Live across the street from Rupp. They'll love to see y'all there. I guess that's where you walk by, right?
It was, and I see the laughing things here. Like, so now I wonder if there's something up with that.
Oh,
place.
there has to be. There has to be.
Because I saw it when I was over at Rupp, and who mentioned that to us? Oh, the Uber driver.
Yeah.
I saw it over there, and it looked like a place.
We thought so. We were hoping it would be more like a Texas Live or like a Bali Sports Live, which I guess won't be Bali Sports Live anymore. But I don't think it's that. I think it's a little bit. It's more like I think you said Dave and Buster's, which I love a good Dave and Buster's, but interesting. Yeah, why did he put the laughing emoji? Now it's in my head a little bit.
Now
That's
I'm
what I'm
thinking
saying.
about it. Yeah.
Except, you can't trust any of these people out there. That's why you got to double and triple check to make sure.
How'd they get Mike in on it? Because Mike was like, "Yeah, it's a good spot, good fun spot."
I wonder if it's just because like that's where maybe like a bunch of like Kentucky students and fans go or something. If they saw us walking in, they'd be like, "You."
Maybe. Yeah. I
And
mean,
come
it's
after
right
us.
across the street.
Yeah.
Literally. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it probably has something to do with Rupp. But also, what was I going to bring up about some place that we were going to go to while we're here? I don't know. I have to
Pirate
remember it.
Hooker Saloon.
Is it Pirate Hookers?
I don't remember.
Oh yeah, some hookers. Bait and tackle shop. Some bar.
yeah. I remember you saying something.
But it's like old hookers is what it's called. I mean, hey, we don't have to name the place. It's just what it is. So
yeah.
But anyways, yeah, wrapping up here, folks. And again, appreciate every one of you chiming in and hanging out with us. It's been great. And again, we're appreciative of you. We're going to get back on schedule tomorrow, live at KS Bar here in Lexington. And it'll be fun. It'll be really good to get out there and see if Kentucky fans show up. I'm sure they will. And see if any Razorback fans, I'm sure they won't. And it'll be a good time, though. But we'll have some special guests this week, too. I think our guy Jack Pilgrim from KSR is going to join us. Try to get Matt Jones on from KSR. Haven't ever interviewed him before, so try to do that. May have some former players, too. It'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun to be out there. But be sure to tune into everything we got going on. So, guys, final thoughts before we roll out here?
I am just looking forward to giving my honest and transparent reviews on everything that I'm about to eat and drink for the rest of the
That's
night.
a good.
Same.
Yeah. I might write some of these thoughts down in my notes app.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think maybe we should do that like on Inside Arkansas Live tomorrow and Friday. Just be like, all right, well, here's where we went and here's what we thought. Just have a little dedicated segment to it. But yeah, we'll definitely do that. We're going to tear it up because we are starving, but we do appreciate each and every one of you. Be sure to subscribe to us here at Inside Arkansas and not only on our YouTube page, but be sure to check out all of our great podcasts here on the audio side of things, whether it's Bombastic Podcast, Pod at the Palace. You can find it wherever podcasts are found. InsideArkansas.com for all the latest and greatest up-to-date information, all things Razorbacks. And follow us on social media at Inside Arkansas. And for all you Razorback fans as well as you Kentucky fans, we appreciate it. So for Curtis Wilkerson, Andrew Ellis, I'm John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel, live at KS Bar tomorrow in Lexington. Have a great rest of your night, everybody. We'll see you then.